Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into something genuinely fascinating today. We're tearing down that spooky, ancient aesthetic of the occult and looking at it like a totally pragmatic science. We are talking about chaos magic, specifically the methods of enchantment. Now, if you're picturing dusty tomes and, warts and all witchcraft, you've got to think again. Our source material presents chaos magic as a super practical toolkit for subconscious programming and focused intention. It's literally about using belief as a force and consciousness as the medium. So let's explore how this whole toolkit actually works from the ground up.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with number 1, the core of chaos magic. 2, willpower and subconscious sigils. 3, servitors and ceremonial frameworks. 4, experimental and absurd magic. 5, astral, dream, and sound magic. And finally, 6, the adept strategy. As you'll see, we're progressing right from the foundational basics all the way to the high-level master strategies of an adept.
So moving right into section 1, the core of chaos magic, understanding the engine.
Let's start with the defining concept from our source material. In chaos magic, an enchantment is just the pragmatic, intentional act of casting a spell to influence reality. But notice what's completely missing here: dogma. Right? The Shayot, that's a practitioner of chaos magic, views all traditions as just a toolbox. You aren't tied down to one specific ancient religion. Instead, you're using the core mechanism underneath the whole shebang, the radical idea that belief itself is a powerful force, and your consciousness is the medium through which you apply that force to create real change.
Now, the most basic, fundamental way to apply that force is through sheer willpower. This is the raw engine of magic. It's completely stripped of any ceremony or symbols or physical tools. To do this, the practitioner has to enter a deep state of gnosis, which basically means totally silencing your internal dialogue and then project a single, unwavering command directly into the fabric of reality. But actually, here's the catch. This is hands down the hardest method. Why? Because there are absolutely zero psychological crutches. There's no special chant to focus on, there's no wand to wave around. It relies entirely on sustained concentration and absolute belief, which, let's be honest, is incredibly difficult for the human mind to maintain.
Which brings us to section 2, willpower and subconscious sigils, programming the deep mind.
Because pure willpower is so incredibly tough, practitioners develop some brilliant workarounds. To really understand sigils, we have to look at the subconscious mind through a completely different lens. Chaos magic basically treats the deep mind exactly like a powerful, non-rational computer. Think of it like a giant processor waiting for software. It doesn't judge, it doesn't analyze, it literally just executes tasks once a command is successfully installed. So the goal of the magician isn't to consciously force reality to change, it's actually to sneak a software update right past the conscious mind and install it directly into this deep mind supercomputer.
The fire and forget sigil process is the quintessential tool to do exactly that. First, you take a specific desire and turn it into a unique visual glyph. That's your sigil. Second, you charge it with intent during a moment of peak concentration, or gnosis. But step 3, well, what's really interesting about this slide is step 3. You actually have to consciously forget the sigil you just made. It's totally counterintuitive. By completely distracting yourself and forgetting what the symbol even means, you allow it to sink cleanly into the subconscious. And once it's there, the subconscious takes over the heavy lifting, subtly manipulating probability to make your desire a reality.
Okay, moving to section 3, servitors and ceremonial frameworks, automating your intent.
Let's compare two fascinating tools here. As we just saw, sigils are fire and forget tools for one-off goals. Servitors, on the other hand, are for complex, ongoing tasks. The source material describes a servitor beautifully as a delegated employee, or kind of like a psychic robot. Instead of casting a spell every single week to, say, attract wealth, a practitioner creates a semi-autonomous thought form, a servitor, programs it with that ongoing duty, and then just lets it run in the background. It is literally automating your magic so you can free up your conscious attention for other things.
And sometimes, to really embed an intent deeply, a chote will borrow from traditional ceremonial magic. But again, they totally strip away the rigid dogma. Instead of blindly following ancient rules, they use it as psychic theater. They might use robes, incense, chanting, the whole setup, to overwhelm the senses and create a powerful framework for visualization. Because they believe the true power is in the belief itself and not the tradition, a practitioner might use the structure of an ancient banishing ritual, but actually substitute the names of ancient gods with pop culture figures. Like calling on Batman or an abstract concept, if it helps them visualize their goal better.
Let's get a little weird with Section 4, Experimental and Absurd Magic, bypassing the censor.
Let me pose a question straight from the source text for you to think about. Can you cast a spell by anointing your smartphone with peppermint oil while listening to industrial music? Or how about using a simple garden gnome to guard your home? Well, in Chaos Magick, the answer is an enthusiastic yes. If you invent this ritual, and you genuinely truly believe it will improve your cell signal or protect your house, it becomes a completely valid, effective spell for you. This is experimental magic at its finest, proving over and over that functional belief is the true tool.
But why a garden gnome? Why shout puns at the sky to make it rain? So, the crucial point is that absurd magic uses humor, chaos, and surrealism as a weapon against the psychic censor. That's the skeptical, rational part of your brain constantly telling you magic isn't real. The rational mind braces itself to doubt anything that feels serious and overly occult. But it has absolutely no defense against the utterly ridiculous. The shock, the cognitive dissonance, and the genuine laughter that come from doing something totally absurd completely short-circuits your doubt. It creates the perfect, unblocked state of mind to launch an enchantment, especially in high-stress situations.
Section 5 already. Astral, dream, and sound magic. Altered states.
Sound magic is all about utilizing vibration as a medium to actually alter consciousness. Advanced practitioners understand that sound isn't just noise, it's a powerful tool for entrainment. This ranges from reciting traditional incantations for energy to chanting specific time-tested mantras. Even prayer is viewed through this exact same lens, basically as tuning your own internal frequency to match a specific deity's vibe. But the absolute highest level for a chote is crafting their own personal magical song. The lyrics state the intent, the melody sets the emotional charge, and the physical act of singing fuses their willpower and gnosis together perfectly.
Now let's compare two intensely internal methods. Astral magic requires out-of-body experiences, or OBEs, and manipulating vital ki energy. Once you're in the astral plane, the barrier between thought and reality basically disappears. That means you can instantly visualize a temple and perform a complex ritual at lightning speed. Alternatively, we have oniromancy, or dream magic. This uses lucid dreaming as a direct terminal into your subconscious. You can literally cast spells inside the dream, confront and integrate repressed parts of your psyche, and incredibly, extract dream concepts or entities into reality by waking up and creating a servitor based on a character you just dreamed about. How wild is that?
And finally, Section 6, the Adept Strategy, Efficiency and Elegance. Now, unlike the highly energetic rituals we've been discussing, advanced practice often looks like complete and total stillness. This is meditation magic. You enter a state of deep meditation to find a thoughtless void of pure awareness, achieving prominent gnosis. From this incredibly still point, you connect to the wider universe and the flow of events. And step 3 is just beautiful. Instead of forcefully demanding a change, you gently introduce your intent as a tiny seed or a subtle suggestion. You're nudging reality from a place of absolute calm rather than actively wrestling with it.
The Adept treats enchantment like a strategic campaign where economy of effort is just absolutely everything. True elegance means being highly efficient. This leads to a practice called enchantment stacking. It's the practice of using a single peak state of focus, a single moment of gnosis, to launch a sigil, charge a physical talisman, and affirm an overarching intent, all at the exact same time. It's basically about maximizing the return on your energetic investment.
And, they don't just cast spells blindly, hoping for the best. Adepts use divination as a highly specific targeting system. Before they do any magic, they assess the probability currents to identify the path of least resistance. They figure out where the universe is already naturally flowing, and they simply give it a well-timed push in their desired direction rather than fighting against the current. It's an incredibly strategic, elegant way to work.
Ultimately, the most powerful enchantment isn't, literal lightning shooting from your fingertips. It is a change that, once manifested, feels so completely natural and inevitable that it seems like it would have happened anyway. Our source calls it a subtle ripple from a stone you barely remember throwing. Which really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Where exactly is the line between focused, magical intention and just pure natural coincidence? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this deep dive into the Magician's Toolkit sparks some serious curiosity. See you next time.